Shoulder presses are great for your delts, but if you always do them sitting down, you're missing out on gains. Try doing them standing. Watch what happens to your shoulder development and the rest of your body.
Yeah,
I know. You know who talked about this?
First, they were talking about peeing, but
no, while pressing.
I know.
Thanks, Justin.
Sorry.
You know who?
I sit down while I do.
You know,
Yeah,
I
that's why
know.
I
Come
brought
on,
that
guys, stay on track. You know who used to do? Who talked about this for a little bit? Someone very unexpected. Jay Cutler.
Oh, really?
Jay Cutler, when he was Mr. Olympia.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, because at that level of pro bodybuilding, these guys are massive.
You're allowed to sit down.
You're so big. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're so
It's a
big
lot of
and
mass.
heavy and just overdeveloped. But sitting down might be advantageous, you would think. But he said that I don't remember who it was that convinced him to start doing some overhead presses standing, and he talked about how it really developed the caps. It's a bodybuilding term for the roundness to his delts. But just from a functional standpoint, standing, you're still working the delts, but you're really activating the whole body. You're totally grounded. You get real good core stability. And the real big one for me is that thoracic activation, that kind of upper back activation that's required to do a really good
There's got to be more
standing
force
overhead press.
output. I mean, just based on your stabilizing with your core, your legs a lot more. There's more contraction happening all at once. So, yeah, I've always preferred it. I wouldn't make the case that my shoulders look any better or different, but that's interesting.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting about that too, Justin? Because I think some people I could press heavier seated, but I think the heaviest presses overhead are all standing.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Which
Is that true? Or all the records are
The ones
standing?
I've seen, yeah.
I don't think we have a record of like an actual written record of like
I don't
how
think
much people have done seated. But the heaviest I've ever seen, Olympic lifters.
Well, because there's no real competition for that. Like, I don't think anybody's kind of put that as part of the exercise to compete with. But it'd be interesting to see if, like, somebody that can lift standing overhead like that, like, if they could do more seated or less.
Yeah.
Well, you also get the benefit, even though it becomes a bit of a different exercise, but you can't do it seated. And Justin was the one who really got me to start doing this, because I was a long time shoulder press person who sat down always.
Yeah.
I never did standing presses. It wasn't until I think I started lifting with Justin and I would do the push press. And being able
you
to,
can't do that seated, right?
Yeah, and being able to throw a little English on it and actually use leg drive would put me in a shoulder press that I'd never done weight wise, and so that alone blew my shoulders up. So there was some. Just from that alone, there's like tremendous value. And obviously, until you learn how to strict press standing and do that, you probably shouldn't be doing a heavy push press. But once you learn those fundamentals down, and then you can actually put a little English on it and use some leg drive and really move some weight. And I think pressing that heavy of load over my head, stabilizing the weight in a locked out position too, was incredible for my shoulders.
You're going to get people, because we'll get this sometimes when we do. Like we've done this, actually happened recently where we did a exercise ranking post and we ranked pull downs low but pull ups real high. And there was some dude that's like, it's the same exercise. It's not the same exercise. It's the same muscles are involved, but it's not the same exercise. And anybody who does lots of pull ups versus pull downs or vice versa will tell you that it's different, even though you're working the same muscles. But even if we look at a seated overhead press and a standing overhead press, far more similar than a pull up to a pull down, right? Wouldn't you agree? They're more similar. Okay. So let's just say that they were identical in terms of what they could do in terms of development of the delts. Let's just say that they were the same. Okay. Same exercise, seated, standing. They're going to build your delts in an identical way. As a trainer, and anybody who's listening right now, whenever that happens and you have two exercises, aside from other factors like injury or convenience or something like that, right? Let's say everything is equal and you want to pick a version, it's a good idea to pick the version that's probably going to translate to the real world more often. And being able to press something heavy while standing is going to give you much more carryover to the real world.
Well, of course.
Much more.
When else would you
When are you
some-
lifting something over your head while you're sitting down?
Yeah, you wouldn't, I'm trying to think if there was
I don't know, maybe your kid or something, but that's about it.
playing around or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to think if is there ever been a time where I was sitting down and I lifted something over my head.
Right.
It's always
it's always standing.
Just yesterday, I was stopped by my mother-in-law's house. Her wine fridge went out, and so she had to buy a whole new refrigerator, freezer motor, or whatever you call it, or whatever. But it's this big, heavy thing that I had to press up over my head and then slide it in, and it was hard, But it's like makes me think like there's never been a time where I've had to do something like that in the seated position where you would sit down and lift something heavy above your head. You would never do that.
And I could make the argument that a standing overhead press is the ultimate upper body expression of strength. I could definitely make that argument. You could pick any other upper body exercise, not lower body, right? So we're taking out lower body stuff. So a deadlift would be considered lower body as well. But if you take all the upper body exercises, which one do you think would communicate this person's really strong the most? I think it would be the standing overhead press. And this was how strength athletes in the past used to compete. So back in the day, the bronze era, they would call it, of strength training, you would have these strong men and women. There were actually a few women that would compete as well. Yeah. Very few, but there were some. And they would do these feats of strength. And there were a few lifts that they would do. The one-arm bent press was one, very unique lift. There was a hip lift that they did, which is it's almost like a hip thrust.
Like a hip bridge, yeah.
Yes. But the most common was how much can you lift up over your head? And it was just universally known to be, this is what shows how strong you are. Can you pick something up and lift it up over your head? In fact, if you watch old cartoons, what exercise do they always demonstrate in a cartoon to show how strong the character is? Lifting something overhead. Well, we know this instinctively. It's an exercise that displays strength.
If you had to only do 2 lifts for the rest of your life,
squat and overhead press.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That would cover the bases, yeah.
I mean, it would.
If you just were...
and if you had to pick
just
2.
Yeah, exactly. You have to pick just 2,
yes.
Okay? If we're playing this game.
You're directly opposing gravity. I mean,
and think about that for a second. Somebody who got really strong at just squatting and just overhead pressing is going to have some pretty good just overall general strength everywhere.
You're right.
You're obviously missing a good pulling movement, right? And that would be a bit of a hindrance.
But if you add into that taking the weight up off the floor and then pressing up overhead, well, now you're done.
Yeah.
Now it's a done deal.
Yeah, because you have to clean it up.
Now you got everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's an exercise that I still go to commercial gyms and I see a lot of overhead presses. It's a very popular exercise, whether it's machine or free weight, and for good reason. It's a great exercise. It's great for shoulder health, especially if you do a full range of motion. You're getting the scapula involved with the humerus and it keeps your shoulders healthy. It's just a great exercise for aesthetics. So that's why people love doing them. But I rarely ever see a standing barbell overhead press. It's actually more rare than a deadlift or squat nowadays.
Oh yeah.
Which is crazy to me because it's a phenomenal. Now everybody does. I see a lot of seated overhead presses.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't say that's even that's a little bit. If there's
I see them way more than I do.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I tell you what, the military bench is the barbell military bench is probably one of the most empty pieces of equipment in the gym.
It's one of them. Yeah. But it's
just shoulder press, because most people that do shoulder press either dumbbell shoulder press or machine shoulder press.
Yes. That's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's
but
one.
That being said,
it's one or the other.
But that being said, I'll see people doing seated military press with the barbell 10 times more.
Well, yeah.
Actually, I'm trying to think right now. The last, as long as I can think, how often I saw standing overhead press. I don't think I've seen one.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you point that out because just going back to the commercial gym setting, even with all the squat racks and everything, how it's changed. I don't see the overhead press a lot.
Not standing.
The barbell, yeah.
No, and what's funny? What's crazy about this is, because here's some of the complaints that you'll get from some people. They'll say, well, why do you do it seated? Standing hurts my back. That's a very common thing that you'll hear from someone. So seated, they could do it.
Yeah.
Now, why does it hurt your back standing? Well, it requires more stability.
Yep.
And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. So lighten the load. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you get good at a standing overhead press, unrack a weight, even don't clean it, just unrack it and come back. I think your strength potential's higher with the standing press, which we've added complexity, and yet we can get stronger at it than the other version. There's a lot of gains that are missing, or that people are leaving on the table because they choose the seated version over the standing version.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that it's because this is why I think the prerequisite to that is a Z press. It's just that's why I love the Z press so much. I wish
that's for the
if you're going to be seated, do a Z press.
Yeah, well,
100%.
especially or the prerequisite before someone, because you're right. I think the pushback someone would give you that's listening right now, they'd be like, I tried it and my low back is killing me, because they lack the mobility, stability in the shoulder, and so
they can't lean up against the bench.
Yeah, that has to be the big deterrent, is just because of everyday posture that people have, and how protracted they are and how weak their core is. So those two things are very exposed.
MAPS, push, pull, legs, PPL. You asked for it, you got it. By the way, there's 2 versions of this program, one for men and then one for women. The programming is different. Women have a higher emphasis on lower body volume, glute training, shoulder volume. Men, it's more traditional. Now, because it's a brand new program, we're launching it right now, and it's 40% off. If you go to mapsppl.com, use the code PPL, you get the price slashed by 40%. Also, if you sign up within the first few days of the launch, you can attend live coaching by one of the Mind Pump coaches. They're going to do 3 days of coaching, breaking down things like nutrition, exercise, lifestyle, really to help you become more consistent and maximize your progress through the program. We also include a supplement schedule guide, which will be free with this program. Again, you can get all of that included, 40% off, mapsppl.com. The code is PPL.
All right, real quick, if you love us like we love you, why not show it by rocking one of our shirts, hats, mugs, or training gear over at mypumpstore.com. I'm talking right now. Hit pause, head on over to mypumpstore.com. That's it. Enjoy the rest of the show.
That's why I love that. I think that if I wish I had the Z press in my arsenal as a younger trainer. That wasn't something that I found till much later. Yeah, in fact,
same here. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, I would have had everybody.
In fact, had I seen it, I would have disregarded it. It wasn't until we were taught it and then someone sold it.
You don't realize how tough it is till you go to perform the movement. It's crazy.
And also just like how safe and good it is for like to teach somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that would be like if I was a trainer right now, putting somebody in a Z press and just doing the bar would be like
that's the qualifier.
Yeah, exactly. I would just get them good. You get a client good at that, really good at that, and then they're ready for a standing overhead press. Like they'll get, once they get good at that will prep their core, their shoulder mobility, the thoracic mobility, and then now they're ready to get up, now stand and load and let's press this thing. I think it's such a underutilized movement. I wish I saw more. Every once in a while, I see it every once in a while now. I mean, I don't know if that's our influence or not.
Z-press?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, I've seen it before.
What's interesting to me is, and this is just true in the strength training space, is that exercises fall in and out of favor. And it's you would think that the ones fall out of favor is because they're not effective. This is just not true. I think sometimes what falls out of favor is just what's hard.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't that long ago. So if you're listening to this now and you're younger than 30, this isn't going to make any sense to you. But when we were running gyms in the late 90s, early 2000s, nobody squatted and deadlift. No, I'm not even a little bit. Never.
Yeah, never.
Deadlift, never, ever, ever.
Yeah.
Now that sounds crazy to somebody who works out in gyms now because you see people squatting and deadlifting all the time, but they just didn't do it. And it wasn't because those exercises didn't exist. They were extremely popular in the 60s and 70s. And then 80s, they started losing popularity. And it was the 90s that they, for some reason, lost tons of popularity. And they're very effective exercises. And the standing overhead press, I've just noticed it. I was thinking about this recently. I'm like, nobody does a standing shoulder press, which is wild to me. It's such a great exercise. It develops incredible shoulders.
Yeah, it's a staple for me.
Incredible core stability. Like if you could do a good, secure, heavy standing overhead press, like if you've practiced it and you got good at it, It's one of the exercises that'll actually bulletproof your back, which is interesting. It's a shoulder exercise, but it'll bulletproof your back because you can lift something.
That's why I said that comment when we first started this conversation is that if you only did 2 movements, I think everybody would know squat is going to be one of those 2. But I think the surprise to a lot of people would be the standing overhead press would be the other one. Just those 2 movements, and you take care of a lot. It's not perfect. It's not ideal, but it's like, and the reason why I think that's so important to communicate is because if you had a week that you just were so busy, you didn't get to the gym, but you just went out to the garage and you lifted that barbell over your head, for 3 sets, standing overhead press, and you just squatted it. Boy, would you keep yourself in a really good
those are the 2. It's funny you say that because those are the 2 movements that get lost as people age. So people know the squat, people stop being able to squat. This shocked me as an early trainer. I'd train someone in their 40s. So that's where I'm at now, right? But I would train people in their 40s who could not stand and do a full extension up over their head. They'd move their arms up, but their elbows will stay bent. And then if I tried to straighten them out, they'd arch back. They lost the ability to fully extend over their head. Yeah. You take the average person over 50, and that's the rule. It's more often than not. Yeah. Over 60, for sure. You're not going to find people who can do.
I definitely think it just gets uncomfortable over time because of the degrees that your posture affects that. And it's like each time you're out of track, just that, millimeter to then a centimeter to an inch. And it's like it puts more stress inevitably to where you'll get like impingement or something you're fighting.
When I had older clients and when I started to recognize this, like we do a shoulder press and their form would, be real short. We're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah, it's like forward. Shorter.
Yeah, it was almost like they were trying to do an incline or they'd arch or something. So what I used to do is I'd get a broom handle or a stick. I'd have them hold on to it and I'd push it up for them to hold them up into position. And then I'd slowly let go of the stick and see if they could just support it and keep themselves straight. And we would slowly progress them to doing a shoulder press. And what I would get, besides the aesthetic effects, right? Their arms look nice. They'd get this great, development of the upper body. Besides that, they would always comment, oh my God, my posture feels so good. Yeah. My neck isn't tight. I feel so good. And it's like, you lost something your body's supposed to be able to do. And when you do that, everything tries to compensate and tighten up, and it doesn't feel good. Yeah. And it's because you lost the ability to do something fundamental, which is a standing overhead press. So if you do them seated, switch them, watch what happens to your body. Yeah. And you won't be able to go as heavy at first. You have to get used to it.
No.
But you'll get way better.
Start light and start light and put the emphasis on the lockout over your head.
Yes.
And so this is why I like the Z press because it forces that.
You have to get that right.
You have to figure that out. And so, if you can't do the standing overhead press right now, start with the Z press, then work your way to doing that. And just keep that going because I'm thinking back to the clients. I wonder, did they lose the ability to squat first, or did they lose the ability to overhead press first? They might have lost the ability to overhead press first before even squatting.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Because even squatting, if you get up and down from the toilet, the chair, your car, we kind of always still kind of do that. Everybody still does that. So
everybody stops pushing and putting things up.
Yeah, but
in fact, we design our houses so we don't have to
we
do
that. You really, unless you train that, there's not a lot of things in everyday life that require you to lift something above your head.
No, the 2 things that help you do that are hanging and pushing things up over your head, which nobody does.
Yeah. We cut out all the monkey bars at schools, and there's nobody pushing anything up over their head. Yeah. Where at least squatting, we get up and out of chairs, so we may have lost the range of motion to go really deep and stuff like that. But we still have that hinging pattern a little bit, but overhead pressing is lost completely. I used to love doing that test with clients where you put their backs flat against the wall and you just have them raise their arm up. And I mean, they get right above their eye level.
It's wild.
And they're already starting to arch.
Big compensations to get the rest.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do with that too is they'll say, I can't do it anymore. And I'll say, here, relax your arm. And I'll bring the arm back for them. Like, this is where, look, your arm can go here. You just can't bring your arm.
You don't have access.
You just don't have that access.
Such an eye opener.
I got some data on BPC 157 because.
More?
Yeah, so do you guys remember that? Okay, I brought up a study earlier. Let me pull it up here. I had brought up a study in an earlier podcast on how they injected people with knee pain. And I think it was like 15 out of 16 of them had one injection, okay? And these were all people with chronic knee pain. No acute injury, but like chronic knee issues. I think it was 15 out of 16 of them had like incredible relief that lasted a year from one shot.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild. I pulled up, there's a lot of animal studies on BP. So that was a human study. The animal studies are crazy, dude. They're crazy. So there's one where they took a rat's cornea and they made a hole in it with a surgical blade. Oh. Then they took BPC 157, dissolved it in water, and dropped it in the eye. 72 hours later, the hole closed.
Oh my God.
72 hours later, the hole closed.
What a weird.
They did another one.
I know. I just laughed because they were so mean to animals.
I know, dude.
And like why that one?
Man.
Like why that idea?
Because they're testing it on different tissues in animals.
Yeah.
Okay. It's got crazy healing for like nerves and stuff like that. So they took another
cornea, huh?
This is another one with rats where they compressed or crushed a rat's spinal cord for 60 seconds. They gave it an injection of BPC 10 minutes after injury. The paralysis reversed by day 28. So it was paralyzed.
What?
28 days later from the BPC 157, it was healed. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
And they haven't done a ton of human studies yet. Just
There are some human studies. There are. And when this thing gets promoted, when it's able to be prescribed directly for these things, because right now you get it from a so you can get doctor prescribes, right? So you can go to nphormones.com and they can prescribe you a peptide.
Is this on
It's not mainstream medicine yet,
Yeah.
though.
Is it on the list, do you think, for WADA or for like
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it is on water.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is.
maybe double check that, Doug, for me.
Yeah, just for athletes, because it's just like
How are they picking that up?
it sucks because like
I don't know how they
obviously
would
it's
test it.
effective and
I don't think BPC is, Sal. Is it?
I think it is. I think
How are they picking that up?
I think it is. I think so is thymosin beta.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. You're right.
Yep,
Look
yep.
at that.
Non-approved substances. I don't know how they test for
well,
it.
yeah.
It's a peptide
Good
your
luck
body
testing
makes.
for that, but-
How do you test something that your body
Right.
already
And
has?
like, how long does it stay in your, what's the half-life? How does it stay in
I
your
mean, you got to use it every day. Oh, wow.
I
Somebody,
mean, to keep athletes going, that's so annoying that they would put that on the ban list.
I know. So here's some of the stuff that it's been shown to do. Okay. By the way, BPC stands, you know what BPC stands for?
What?
Body protective compound.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't know
This is a natural peptide that we find in gastric juices in human. So here's some of the stuff that it's been shown with BPC. It's been shown to reverse dopamine depletion and receptor desensitization caused by chronic hard stimulant use. So your dopamine system can get messed up through using lots of stimulants, helps reverse it. BPC counteracts the toxic effects of alcohol in the liver, stomach lining, and brain simultaneously. It'll accelerate recovery of of eye tissue. It counters NSAID-induced gut damage. If you use lots of non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like ibuprofen, like if you use them weekly, probably want to use BPC as well. It accelerates the closure of intestinal fistulas. It is good for overtraining syndrome recovery, hair follicle vascularization. So upregulation improves blood supply to follicles, supporting hair density. It's good for gum tissue and periodontal health. Nerve damage repair. Of course, we know this, IBS and IBD symptoms, so really good for gut health. Post-surgery, surgical recovery acceleration, scar tissue remodeling, blood pressure normalization, traumatic brain injury recovery, and then mood disorders driven
Blood
by leaky
pressure.
gut syndrome. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty.
Any
This one, by the way, remember we had Dr. Seeds on
Yeah.
and we asked him if there was one peptide you could take all the time. What did he say?
Yeah.
BPC
I know.
157.
It's pretty evident.
Can you
It works.
take it indefinitely?
Yeah.
You can.
That's what Dr. Seeds said.
He did.
Yeah. He's like, I use it all the time. Now the dose goes up if you have injuries or something like that.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, that's the one I would take all the time.
I mean, it's there. I mean, it's the one that I can feel. Like you can tell it. You can tell
Oh,
a
yeah.
different. I mean, you could tell how much faster you're healing from something, especially if it's an injury that you've had before or you're familiar with. It's definitely one of those ones. That
I
you
have a
notice.
buddy who got, I think I told you guys, he had a shoulder injury and then it was taking forever to heal and he used it and I saw him like the next week and he's like, I don't know if I'm like imagining things. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, the pain's gone. I'm like, no, it works, dude. It definitely works.
so
Yeah, peptides are interesting. That's like and now it's like more mainstream, right? Peptide
Now.
science is more mainstream.
I saw a post of our buddy Ben. He had a picture. He's been since 2016.
He's at the cutting edge, dude.
He was
talking about Ben.
there's a
Greenfield?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Greenfield.
Dude. He was talking about BPC back in 2016.
2016,
Wow.
bro.
Okay.
There's a picture of him, and he's
an early adopter.
He's holding the bottle and vial and a syringe, and he's like, I've been talking about this for a decade.
But it's mainstream.
I mean, he was the first person I called. So I remember right when we were first kind of.
Was this when you tore your Achilles?
I think so. I don't remember. I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, so it was quite a ways back, and I reached out to him, and he was like, "Oh yeah, absolutely." And I was asking him about injecting it in the site and what should I do and get and all the dosage and all the things. So yeah, he was my go-to source.
It's now like they can't ignore the effectiveness of peptides for lots of different reasons. So like for healing, for brain health, gut health, sexual health, there's peptides for that. Hormonal health, there's peptides that help regulate sleep. Which are pretty.
Do you think they're being oversold?
No. I think. Well, okay. Let me back up. Yes and no. Yes, because that's what our space does. So they sell them like you're going to take peptides, and it's like
you get all these magical results.
Yeah, like you're going to become Mr. Olympia or something crazy. But no, because as interventions, especially safer interventions than traditional drugs.
Right.
Like there's a huge future.
I feel like we need to add a category to the pie chart, right? For the longest time, we've had these like pie charts that would show like, diet is 75%, your workout is 20 whatever, and supplements would only be like 5% or something like that. Like where do you think peptide? If you were building a pie chart of nutrition, exercise, recovery.
It goes like this.
Sleep.
For medical interventions, it goes hormone replacement therapy first, peptides right underneath. So if your testosterone's off,
that's like life changing.
Right. If your hormones are off, you go hormone therapy. Mm-hmm. Peptides are next underneath that. In terms of what they can do for you.
But what I'm trying to close the gap on is it in comparison to supplements, because supplements are also
no, you can't. No, you can't compare.
More effective.
No way, dude. Yeah, you can't compare. You could take growth hormone releasing peptides, and if you're healthy, you're a 40-year-old woman and take Cemerolin or something like that, you'll start producing growth hormone like when you're 18 from a peptide naturally. So, you can't compare to supplements.
So if you had to put a number on it, supplements are 5% of health and fitness, 5% of your results when it comes to health and fitness.
I hate to say that because I don't think they're necessary. I don't think peptides are necessary. I also don't think supplements are necessary. In some cases they are.
I know, but
you mean in terms of what they'll contribute?
Yeah, exactly. What they'll contribute. When I say 5, because supplements have tremendous value. If someone under eats protein and you supplement with a protein shake, it could be a huge thing. But generally speaking, when you talk about if someone's diet is dialed and they exercise, that is you're 80% of the way, 90% of the way to your ultimate physique or ultimate goal. So from a percentage standpoint, if you're comparing it to supplements, and I know you said it doesn't even compare, but it also doesn't even, but you wouldn't compare, you wouldn't say it's more important than diet.
No.
You wouldn't say it's more important than exercise.
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. So where does it fall in the category or it's
definitely more important, more impactful than supplements, less impactful than exercise and diet and sleep.
So somewhere in between.
Yeah, somewhere in between.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it would be.
Well, even I guess if I was to compare just from cognitive benefits, like nootropic supplements versus peptides, it's like, exponentially more benefit with with the peptides I've experimented with.
Well, I tell you guys, so I told you guys, right? I recently went to the doctor because I had some heart palpitations for a few days, and so I did a regular checkup thing. And the doctor there is asking me, like, what do you take? What do you do? Whatever.
And you're like, hold on, let me get this list out. He's like, you're like
today,
or since I got here, or
do you want all my supplements too?
Like, do you have a half hour?
No. So I told her I was on hormone therapy, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm taking, and still, because I'm still like, okay, come on, you're a young doctor. I'm sure you realize like this is like hormone therapy's fine, but it's with the doctor. I'm not going to black market and doing all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah. And her face was like, what? Why do you take that? why do you do that? I'm like, oh, it's with a doctor. They
You're like,
monitor
I'm almost 50 years old.
They monitor my hormones. And I do labs every 3 months, you know,
Yeah.
and, you know, this and that.
You're some young guy.
And she's like, but if you're not really deficient, why would anybody take? And she's asking me all these questions. Like she's like, let's just test you. Let's just make sure. Like she was concerned with me. I'm like, listen, I go through a doctor.
Yeah.
In fact, their expertise is hormones. I know your expertise is not.
Yeah.
I didn't say that to her.
You should.
But I'm like, you know, but it's interesting still. It's still interesting.
Yeah,
It's
there's
still-
still that bit of stigma.
I didn't
there.
expect it too because she was a young doctor.
Well, and Courtney experienced some of that even from some of her doctor friends. She's, you know, was a nurse forever and like is, you know, on some hormones and thyroid and they were like very concerned, you know, because it's like they don't study a lot of that. They don't look into the research.
No.
You know, it's just not part of their curriculum.
No.
That's so funny to me with like you because I get that the regular MDs may not have all the schooling and up to date on the newest research, but you would think someone, I mean, your age, I would like if you were 30 and you were doing that, I think if the doctor would be like, "What are you doing? You're a young man still."
Well, there's a difference. So the
You're almost
view,
50 years old, dog.
Yeah, I know. The view. Maybe she thought I was
Jacked.
You know what? What it is. There's a view with hormone therapy in traditional medicine it's getting outdated. It's starting to change. But the view is unless you're way out of range.
Yeah, unless you're in dangerous zone, like at 100 something.
If you come in as a man and your testosterone, your total testosterone is below 250, because that's the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe we'll consider testosterone. But if you come in at 350
Yeah. You got to be like rock
with
bottom.
all of the symptoms of low testosterone.
Yeah.
So you've got the low drive, the low libido. You know, you're just not feeling good. You're losing muscle mass, gaining body fat, but you're in range. They're going to be like, no, you're fine. Same thing with thyroid. Same thing with with women with testosterone. They'll come in and, man, you know, I got low libido. I got low drive. I just don't feel good. They'll look at their testosterone and say, well, you're within range, even though it's at the bottom of the range. And then they're more likely to be like, you know what? We got an SSRI for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
we got
crazy.
We got an anxiolytic for you.
That's the go-to.
I mean, that's what led me to
It's crazy.
Long before we were ever working with any companies, what led me to going through a hormone specialist was I first tried to go through my general practitioner, and I was like 275. So I tested a few times. 275 to 325 was like the highest I test, and I had all the signs of like feeling terrible. And your general practitioner wouldn't prescribe me testosterone.
Do you know how many?
And then I go to a hormone specialist,
And they're like, oh yeah.
and they're like, oh yeah, well, right away. Like in fact, and they started me on a very mild dose, and then monitor, and then inched me up, and they would inch me up like 10 milligrams at a time. It was like very slow.
Do you know how many women? I'll be careful how I say this, right? Do you know how many middle-aged women who start to suffer from anxiety? Because anxiety spikes in middle age for women. Perimenopause, menopause, when it starts to spike.
yeah, big
Sleep
part of that.
issues, like, you know, all the classic stuff, right? Do you know how many of them do hormone therapy or will use progesterone? And they're like, I don't
Life-changing.
have anxiety anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what the traditional methods were? If you're a middle-aged woman, sleep issues, I'm having anxiety, here's a benzo or here's an SSRI. That'll fix you.
Yeah.
When you can go on bioidentical, meaning the exact same hormones your body's making, so not the birth control crap where it's like different, but actual bioidentical hormones, you could take a woman, raise her testosterone, have her take some progesterone before bed,
Thyroid.
maybe a little thyroid if her thyroid isn't optimal, and then boom, I feel great.
Yeah.
And all I'm taking are hormones I already make.
Yeah.
And they're still within range. Like they're taking you out of range.
Also, now you're in this youthful profile again. Yeah.
And your quality of life goes up.
Right. And then which also promotes that person has motivation to go work out. Their libido and sex
Energy,
drive is now
everything.
up.
Yeah.
And so they're having sex with their partner.
Whereas
it's like
an
it all
marriages.
fits. And the SSR does the opposite.
Whereas an SSRI, you have sex. Okay, my anxiety's better, but I can't get orgasm, or I don't have a libido.
Oh, yeah,
anymore,
definitely
Or I'm
affects
gaining
that.
weight as
Yeah.
a result of their SSRI.
And you don't get any highs or lows anymore. You're just kind of there.
Yeah. So I don't know.
You know, talking more about the peptide market, I'm curious because, especially since you categorize it as so much more effective than supplements, if it's had a negative impact on the supplement industry.
I don't think so.
A big part of the supplement industry is
a big gap in
fat
the
loss
price.
and muscle building and stuff like that. And if there's products out there,
You still buy supplements over the counter. If you want peptides, if you want to do it the legit route, you still go through doctors. So there's still over the counter. There's still this part, Adam, which is always a block for some people. There are oral peptides. So there are peptides you could take in capsule form.
a lot of them are injectable.
A lot of them are injectable.
Yeah.
Because they're not.
It's a bit of a barrier.
They're not bioavailable. And now you use a tiny little insulin needle. It's like a little hair. But a lot of people like the GLPs.
Oh.
The GLPs
looked it up?
are injectable.
Well, just getting my dad to do it, yeah, that was a deterrent. I'm
Really?
like, come on, be a man.
Which one was he trying? Was he
It
getting?
was BBC. I was trying to get because he had knee surgery and knee replacement surgery.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did he take it?
He started to take it, yeah, but
good.
I really had to convince him that it's
I gave my dad BPC, but I go there and give him. The
I wouldn't be
shot.
surprised if
They
that's
won't
all,
do it themselves.
Yeah, well, I
the people
trained
that
my mom
choose
how to do
antidepressants are probably for that same reason too.
what?
So I'm sure that some of the people that choose the antidepressants versus taking all those hormones are probably similar too.
Maybe.
Yeah. They don't want to
Well,
inject
with,
something.
with hormone replacement therapy, just so that people know, if we're just talking hormones, so and nphormones.com, the medical professionals have access to this. You can use injectable testosterone. They also have
Creams.
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, if you're a woman and you do full hormone replacement therapy, progesterone, testosterone, and thyroid, none of it is injectable.
Yeah.
The progesterone's pills. The testosterone is a cream. You apply it vaginally. And thyroid is a pill.
Yeah.
There are no injectives.
Yeah.
It's the peptides that are often
Yeah.
injectable.
Yeah.
Speaking of all this and things that affect health and stuff, I want to ask you about, because you've been tracking sleep so much.
Yeah.
How big of an impact, now that you're tracking and really paying attention to all this,
Yeah.
how big of an impact does 8 sleep have on things like your sleep quality, sleep score, all that stuff?
Everything. It's one of the most impactful things that I've ever done for sleep. Now I've had that locked in for quite some time now, because we've had 8 sleep for.
But you've slept at other places without.
Oh yeah, I mean one of the
because you run hot, right? At
yeah
night for the most
one
part,
of the one of the worst parts is I'm so aware of that, and I'm sure I get in my own head when I know I travel now and I don't have that. Like I know that I'm gonna have a the first thing I do. I mean, you've been with me before. When the very first thing I do when I get to a hotel room is drop
AC.
it as low as I can, because I've got to get that bed cold enough for me to get a good night's sleep. And even then, by the time I get in those sheets, I heat it up. It ain't the same as like when I have my 8 sleep. The 8 sleep controls that. It's so crazy to me too, like how wildly good the AI is on it. Like once it figures it out, like we moved this last year, right? So it's now been transferred from, bed to bed like 3 times now.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, I upgraded it on one of the times too. So I've now switched it out. Was it 3 times now, I think, that I've switched it out. And so each time I switch it out or have moved, and I had to reset it and reacclimate the temperatures. And so you go through this kind of phase of like a week of like, oh, I want it a little bit colder, a little bit warm, and like messing with the temperatures. Sure. And then after it's been about a couple weeks after that, it just knows. And like, it doesn't matter if it's winter, summer,
because it'll cool or it'll adjust on the
to
fly.
me.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter the season. So we could be in the thick of summer, winter. Once it's calibrated, and it has all the metrics like an Oura ring, so it's tracking all your restfulness. It tracks your.
Does it have to warm you up to wake you up or?
No. I've never used. I've used messing around with that, but the way mine is set, like when I look at what it's calibrated to me, again, I kind of set the original parameters. And then it actually ends up adjusting. So when I go back and I look after a couple months, and it's different than when I actually originally said it. It's figured out what is optimal.
What gives you the best.
Yeah, and it's a trip because and I can feel how good it feels.
What's our discount code on that, Doug? We have I think that's one of the ones where we offer a huge discount to our partners.
That's a good question.
$350 off.
Is that really?
Yes.
That is substantial.
Yeah, the Pod 5. So our link, 8sleep.com/mind pump. And then
the new ones are so sick, too.
We have $350 off.
Yeah.
That's a big discount.
Yeah, and I was just going to comment too. My house right now is around 75 degrees.
Crazy, right?
And I sleep with this, and I don't have to turn on the AC.
So it saves you money too.
Saves me a bunch of money.
I gave 8 Sleep listens to this ad. Somebody on your team needs to do a cost comparison.
Yeah, because then you justify the cost.
Exactly. Like the selling point to me would be us, of course, to create sleep. Everybody know, anybody who listens to this podcast knows the importance of sleep, and so but it can be an investment for some people. Like, oh, okay, they're not cheap. But if you actually pay attention to what you keep your AC at, I have to keep my AC before 8 sleep. It used to be 65, at the highest 68. It had to be in that range. It was always like I wanted 65. Katrina's like, I can't go lower than 68. So that was like the big thing back in the days. I can let my house get 72, 73 degrees and sleep like with my comforter and sheet and quilt over me. Because it keeps me that cool underneath it.
Yeah, I could imagine people that live in states, especially during the summer where it's real hot or humid.
Oh yeah.
And the AC, you got to just blast it all the time.
It'd be a lifesaver.
Yeah, that could probably save you a ton of money.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, to me, if somebody on their team needs to do that, because I think over the course of a year, if you can keep your house at 5 degrees warmer, that has to add up over the course of a year, and it'd be really interesting. And knowing what PG&E cost, I know it ain't cheap, so I'm sure that would negate the price of the actual cover.
So to change the subject, did you guys see? This is actually really cool. Did you guys see what California is now allowing? So you know how we have like lots of apps that allow you to like share rides and share things, whatever.
Yeah.
So these are apps that allow people to sell food out of their kitchens,
Interesting.
and they legalized them.
What?
Yeah, so it's called a micro enterprise home kitchen operation permit. So you can, LA County is accepting these. You can sell 30 meals maximum per day, 90 meals maximum per week, and your gross annual sales cap is $100K. And so you get an inspection or whatever, not a big deal. You can't sell alcohol. You could deliver it, but it must be direct to consumer. So you can't do like DoorDash and stuff. But dude, somebody who really wants to cook or make meals, you can start your own business out of your kitchen.
Wow.
And they'll let you do it.
So there's an app.
crazy.
Maybe Doug knows about this. I know San Francisco does this.
Or we could dine at somebody's
Yes,
place.
you could dine at somebody's place. So like going to a restaurant, like you have somebody who loves to cook. And so think about like you can go to people's houses and they prepare a meal, a dinner for you, and you just like you're paying for it at a restaurant.
Somebody's grandma make you some awesome meal.
I've always wanted to try it out. I always thought it'd be kind of cool to do something like that. But what comes to mind when you bring this up right away is kind of what I used to do. This was a hack for me as a trainer. This was back when I was doing private and I was going to people's houses and training some people at my place and wherever, right? And I was so big on meal prepping. So a lot of my clients would pay me to meal prep for them after I'd train them and then I'd stay there for another 2 hours and I would cook for their week. And I charged a pretty good price for that. Yeah. So, and they had to obviously provide all the groceries, all the things. I give them a list of stuff.
But this is like, this is
great. Yeah,
this is a whole other thing.
Oh yeah.
Stack on with that kind of like smart accessibility.
But this is so cool. This is like your own house, your own kitchen. You want to make food. You get this permit. And you can make food and deliver it yourself.
Well, that's how
they allow you to make.
That's what I mean. What I would do is I would make that a part of my training service.
In there.
I would sell people on their personal training, and it'd be like I also have a meal prep service that I run out of my house. And
what I think of? I think of like a stay-at-home like parent, like stay-at-home mom who wants to supplement.
Yeah, exactly.
Their income.
Yep.
And she's like, because they said up to $100,000 a year. And she's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make some meals. I'm going to service the neighborhood.
I'm going to tell Courtney about this because she makes the best sourdough out of anybody I've ever had.
I've tried it. You brought it here.
So good, dude.
It's incredible.
And I'm like, we gotta monetize this.
It's so funny when I heard this though. When I read this, I'm like, they've been doing this in San Jose for a while. I've had tamales out of somebody's car before. Here in San Jose,
dude, homemade tamales so much better.
Yeah, I've had that all before.
The illegal ones.
Did you guys
illegal?
Whatever, dude. The best ones, bro.
Those are the best ones.
Drive by East San Jose. So did you guys?
Is that what it's called right there, Doug?
Yeah, Eat With is an app you can get. So you can go to people's houses and try out their fare.
That's kind of cool.
It's super. I think that's super cool.
I like it. Have you guys heard of these rage rooms? Have you heard of these?
Rage rooms?
Doug, look up rage rooms.
They break stuff, right? Is that what it is?
Oh, I have heard of that. They put goggles on and give you a bat, like an old car.
Smash glass.
Smash a car.
I guess there's like a huge demand that's growing, and it's women. it's surging in female customers who want to go in and break stuff, dude.
Well, see, that makes sense because I remember when I was training and I would introduce some clients just to like, you know, as a change of pace, we do some boxing and we just like hold mitts and it was just like, like I just opened up a can of worms.
Yeah.
You know, I just wouldn't stop. I had this one lady hitting me forever.
They have some here in San Jose.
Yeah.
Down the street.
What?
Yeah, right down the street.
No, Justin's.
Oh, I want to do that.
30-minute sessions, $45.
30. Who is raging for 30
Yeah,
minutes?
that's a long time.
That's a long time to rage, dude.
Yeah.
You got some demons to deal with.
A good 5 minutes and you're probably done.
Bro, $45 and you go in there and you just break stuff.
Yeah, but how satisfying is that, dude? Especially with glass. Like when you hear broken glass when you're smashing through.
I feel
Oh
like
my God,
I feel like blue collar workers.
My
so
cousin and I
satisfying.
got in so much trouble.
What'd you bring?
When we were kids, my uncle his dad used to recycle, and he in his backyard, he used to just keep all the bottles. And just like a bunch of kids, we started throwing rocks
Started
and just
breaking them all?
we started shattering all of it, just dumb, not thinking at all. Oh boy, he got whooped bad so bad when his dad got home for that. Just shattered all these glass bottles.
You know what's really satisfying to break? Really satifying? Like long
Mirrors.
No, incandescent lights or whatever.
Oh, those that shatter.
Bro, you throw those? Yeah, dude.
yeah.
Those are a good time.
Don't inhale those fumes.
Yeah, that was my favorite. When I would go to work with my dad and we would go do a demo, like he'd go redo a kitchen.
Yeah.
And he'd give me a sledgehammer and he'd be like, all right, here, break the countertops, break whatever.
Yeah.
Until you get exhausted, because it is exhausting.
That's what I mean.
But
like
at first,
30
it's like good
Could
time.
you imagine 30 minutes in a break room thing? You would not go more than 5 minutes.
you'd
You
be
wouldn't go. I
tired.
bet 3 hard minutes and you would be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a boxing match, dude. Like everybody's like, yeah, I'll go fight boxing.
I
All right,
mean,
1 round.
Not even a
I remember
round.
doing demo of like a few houses and like you'd go for like an hour and you were just torched.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the first
Even
couple
if-
swings are fun.
Even if you use a jackhammer. You ever
Fun
use
at first.
You ever use a jackhammer?
Yeah.
Oh, God, your whole body
Oh,
is broken.
dude, afterwards too. Yeah, you're just numb and like your arms just raise up. You're like,
They look easy, right? Then you grab one and then forget it. I was earlier this morning, I was working out and I saw some posts on balance. You have balance in your life or whatever. And I think it's our idea of balance is such a myth.
yeah.
I think what we mean by balance, because I know what people mean. I think what they mean is that your priorities are in the right order. I think that's what they mean by it. Because if priorities are in the wrong order, that's when things kind of get messed up.
you can't really divvy that up like equally.
No.
It's just whatever you think is your priority is
Yeah.
where you want to spend the most.
So, and the idea that I thought of, or the just the topic around this, I thought of was like this is a common one people talk about, like work and family, like work and family balance, right?
Yeah.
And if you place work too high on the priority list, you end up sacrificing your family for work. But work is really important. And sometimes you do place work high on the priority list to serve your
That's
family.
It changes.
Yeah. So the idea of balance, I think, is some people think it's like 50-50. That's
I
always
also-
moving.
I also think that we tend to look at it through this lens, like this 24-hour window
Right.
lens.
Yeah.
Where it's like you don't have balance in like a 24. Now maybe when you zoom out over the course of 6 months or a year, kind of to your point, there's definitely weeks of work where work is taking a very high priority.
Yes.
And I'll even bring some of work home. And it's just like, and I don't get the same amount of playtime with my son as I normally do.
Depending on the projects or whatever's in front
Yeah,
of you.
and then it gets a little bit slower and easier, and then I immediately get to spend more time with my son and do those things. And so it's like it doesn't look like this perfect even pie chart balance every day.
No.
But when you zoom out over the course of a year, I'd say, yeah, I definitely prioritize my family as number one. And yes, work is really important. Yes, I do spend a lot of good time with my friends and stuff like that. But I go in these sprints, and I could go 3 months and not see my best friend because it's just we're so busy.
But again, I think it's really balance is the wrong word. I think it's you have to are things in the right order, because you can spend more time at work than you say, let's say, you spend with your family, but it's in service of your family. So I think it's more about where it is in the priority list, and the time spent doing it doesn't necessarily
that's
say
a good
what
way
you're
to.
doing.
That's a good point, Sal, because there's also, and I think
Because there's some people that work a lot of hours to serve their family. They have no
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that work is
More important.
No.
Yeah.
It's that they're doing it for their family.
And the same is also true. There's a lot of people that work very hard that they're not doing it for their family, doing it for themselves.
No,
Or
for
they're
themselves.
escaping from
Yeah.
their family.
That's right. So I don't think it's a time thing. I think it's really you have to examine importance. What am I serving here? Because whatever's at the top, everything underneath it sacrifices. You sacrifice the priorities that are under the top priority. Top priority becomes like a god, and everything else gets sacrificed to it. So if you really do prioritize work genuinely more than your family, you're going to sacrifice your family for your work. But I don't think it's a balance as we understand it, because I don't know if that really exists.
At least not the way we communicate.
Not the way we communicate.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think it's one of those things that it's misleading and tough to understand. But I definitely think people use what you just said on both sides, because I definitely think there's people that, I'm working all these hours doing this thing for my family, when your wife might say something like, hey, I'd be happy if we lived in a trailer and it was just me and you. And it's so then if that's true, then you're probably not really serving your family. It's more something to do with yourself than it really is that person. Versus if you are grinding to do so at that, and so you can now offer the opportunity for your wife to not work, or to be with the kids more often, or that you guys can take that vacation that you want to. Like, I think you have to really examine that.
You know what I haven't seen in here in a while is the Shilajit gummies.
Or the happy drops.
Yeah, what's going on?
Do they
here?
stop hooking us up?
Why are we short on both those?
We don't have any in stock. That's why.
Did they sell out?
No, I don't think we've received any recently.
I know Shilajit and the Happy Drops are the two of the most popular.
They are, yeah.
Products that Organifi sells. They crush, and people repeat buy them. The Happy Drops people love. They feel them, and then the Shilajit. I'm seeing messages from people saying that they do feel athletic performance boosts from
I like when we have them in here, so I don't know why.
I haven't seen them in a long time.
No, this is
it's been a while.
No, it's the longest stretch that we've had. I thought one of you was hoarding them, or someone was taking them home.
That's why I looked at Doug and asked him. Do you have any
They're normally on his desk or over there by Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's usually a go-to, especially the Happy Drops for me, because, it's just one of those, especially middle of the day. It's like, grab some of those before the podcast.
Yeah.
What's the main thing that's inside the Happy Drop again? What's that flour called or whatever?
It's what's it
Saffron.
called?
Saffron. Is it a flour? Is it considered a flour?
It's part of the flour.
Yeah, and so
It is part of flour.
yeah, there's studies on it for depression and anxiety, and in women, there's also some libido studies, and they're legit. Look them up yourself. Saffron has got some legit studies. It's an herb that actually has some pretty interesting effects, and that's one of the main ingredients.
That's like the main thing that's affected. It has other stuff, but I know that's the
and
main
it's got the type of saffron that is the one you want. It's sourced very, very well, which is the problem with herbs is how is it sourced? But Organifi, you know those guys.
Where would something be poorly sourced?
So there are companies that specialize in producing a particular ingredient. For example, creatine, Creapure is well known for being a high quality source of creatine, and so you could buy different companies of creatine. Look on the back and see it's made from that. The Shilajit, their Shilajit is Prima V. So this is a company.
So they have to go to the source to get it, as opposed to growing it in the lab, right?
Yeah, no supplement companies growing their own stuff. They get it from other companies.
Okay.
So Prima V is the best Shilajit. This is the stuff you get. This is what you see in the studies. The saffron that they use is from Safractive, I think is the name of the company.
Okay.
That provides it. So they've got the best source of these active ingredients.
Got it. So when you say sourcing, it's not like the company like Organifi. They've gone out and they found who is the best at sourcing that.
And that's what you want. Unless the company itself
because you know that they're probably
specializes-
paying a premium to get that versus
course.
going through some company that is.
Because look, there's two ways you could work in the supplement industry. One is you sell single ingredients and you can source them well or not. So you get the bulk ingredient. So you could be like a company from China that sells bulk, whatever. Or you could be a company that's like, no, check out our stuff. Third party tested constantly. We're known for our quality. If you want to sell saffron, you get it from us. Well, we're the stuff that's in studies, type of deal. So yeah, Safractive. So they use a really, really good, well-sourced saffron. And then, like I said, Prima V for their Shilajit.
ginger's in there too, huh?
Yep, that's right. Caldera Labs Hydro Layer contains 5 different peptides. You rub it on your skin, reduce fine lines and wrinkles, strengthen the collagen in your skin. You notice results, no joke, in weeks. In fact, I used it. I still use it, and I notice results in days. Caldera Lab makes scientifically formulated natural skincare products. There's many out there that they have, lots of different products. And one of the best ones is the Hydro Layer. Go check them out. By the way, we can hook you up 20% off. Go to calderalab.com. That's CALDERALAB.com/Mind Pump. Use the code MindPump20 and get 20% off your first order of any of their products. Back to the show. This segment of the podcast is brought to you by Mind Pump Fitness Coaching. This is the #1 course that teaches trainers and coaches how to build sustainable 6-figure plus businesses and careers in fitness. Look, it's roundtable based, so you can hear Adam, Justin, and myself teaching you how to build a better business, get more leads, close more deals, close bigger deals, and be more effective trainers. By the way, our course is nationally recognized. In fact, it gives you 1.9 CEUs with or for your NASM certification. Find out more at mindpumpfitnesscoaching.com.
First question is from Brett Richards, 87. Instead of skipping a day of training because of poor sleep, should I walk instead to get steps? How many days can I skip in a row before strength training becomes predominantly cardio?
Okay, I don't know what that second part means, but we'll answer the first one. Yeah, you could, of course, still move. In fact, if you have poor sleep, you can also still work out.
Just moderate.
Just really low intensity.
Yeah.
Now, here's when you don't work out. When it's like unbelievably terrible sleep.
Yeah. Chronic bad.
Yeah. But if you get like a night of bad sleep and you're supposed to work out the next day, just drop the intensity.
Yeah.
Just work out at a lower intensity.
Just contracting the muscles will help you recover and all that. Anyways.
It's invigorating. It'll probably wake you up, make you feel good. The problem is when people go super hard after a day of poor sleep, the injury risk is really high with something like that.
And just so we're clear, 5 days in a row of not weightlifting and just doing lots of walking doesn't mean you're training your cardiovascular system. There's a cardio threshold, meaning there's a point at which your heart elevates to a point where it then is in the cardio place. Walking doesn't do that. You're far from that. That's a low intensity, steady state. Keeps your heart rate below that, and you're not in other words, if you're fearful of if I walked every day 10,000 steps on the treadmill and I didn't lift weights of that, do I all of a sudden go into that I'm now going to pare muscle down and lose muscle? You're not going to. Now, if you ran for 2 hours every day and didn't lift weights for 5 days in a row,
you're just trying to become an endurance machine.
Yeah, exactly. And so then that could, but walking, you're not. That's not going to happen.
Activity.
Yeah, that's going to be good for you. But I'm with Sal. Maybe I take a day off if it's really, really bad. But the second day is, even if it wasn't the greatest sleep, I might just go through the motions and just back off my intensity.
That's right. Typically what I do, because I'll have nights of bad sleep and I rarely miss workouts. I go in and I do probably half the volume, and it's just a lower intensity. I'm just feeling the muscle, feeling good. Instead of doing 4 exercises for an area, I'll do 2 or something like that. Or instead of doing 4 sets, I'll do 2.
Yeah, I usually start with body weight or bands, and then kind of work into weights if I feel like okay, I could probably handle a little bit more.
Next question is from Stas Adamovic. How do I add plyometrics to my MAPS 15 style program?
That's a good question. So a couple of things. We need to understand what plyometrics training looks like, because a lot of people
also
very misused.
Also, what you want it for, right? So, do we want to increase our vertical, or are we trying to?
Or are you trying to practice? Maybe practice jumping.
Maybe they want to maintain the skill of jumping, but yeah.
So plyometrics what you're training is the ability to contract muscles explosively or move in an explosive manner. Okay. You don't train that when you're fatigued, or you don't train that to fatigue, because you're not training what you're trying to get better at, right? So just jumping back and forth, which a lot of people will do that, or use jumping exercises or plyometric looking exercises in a circuit, they're not training plyometrics. They're just getting tired, okay? So if you want to train plyometrics, an example, we use jumping as an example. There's a lot of ways to do this, but we use jumping. You would warm up real well, so make sure you're nice and warm. And then you would try to jump as high as you could. And you would do that once or twice, and then you'd wait for 3 minutes, and then you repeat it. Because the goal is to see if you could jump higher each time. And you don't want fatigue to get in the way. Where you would install this in your MAPS 15 style program would be at the beginning.
Beginning the workout.
Yeah.
You could do this
Be your focus.
2 or 3 times. I mean, MAPS 15 is low enough volume that you could easily do so, and that's why I'd want to know a little bit more about this. Like, okay, is it jump boxes that we want to do? Is it ice skaters that you want to get into? Like, are there certain plyometric movements that you want to get good at? And then I literally would only do 3 sets of 2s, and just like you just recommended, before my MAPS 15 workout 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
If you do that, you'll get good at those things. You'll get really good at, you'll increase your vertical, or you'll get really good at ice skaters, or whatever plyometric movement you want to get into. But you can do it first before you work out. Warm up the body a little bit, and then just do.
And you would do like a few sets.
Yeah, three.
I love
3.
broad jumps for.
Yeah, broad jumps would be
triple
great.
Extension.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things. I think people undervalue it, but again, this is like all the prerequisites and training. It all depends on like what your joints and everything can handle, but it's definitely a valuable way to train. It has to be done in a very smart, efficient way. Like you don't use fatigue as a metric with this at all.
Next question is from Bammer for Life. What's your take on the high cortisol thing? It seems that high cortisol is to blame for everything these days. Doesn't cortisol naturally rise during exercise?
They've taken a hormone, they've oversimplified the stress response, and then they've turned it into a way to sell or market or communicate something that's way more complex. So cortisol, they call it the stress hormone, but it's also the wake-up hormone. It's an energy hormone. Your cortisol is supposed to rise in the morning.
Yeah, highest in the morning,
if your
hopefully.
cortisol doesn't rise in the morning, that sucks. Like you wake up and you feel like a zombie all day long, and you need a lot of coffee to get your butt moving. Cortisol rises in the morning, and then it slowly starts to drop, and it gets low in the evening because that's when you're trying to go to sleep. When people have a inverted cortisol, system, when their cortisol is low in the morning and starts to go up mid-morning, and then is high at night, this becomes a problem because you're wired but tired. And what this looks like behaviorally is coffee and caffeine or stimulants throughout the day, and alcohol at night or cannabis at night to wind down. And so this is behaviorally what it tends to look like. What they're trying to do is pin this hormone on the effects of stress management. So, and then stress management is a lot different than the way it's communicated as well. So we're often communicated like you need to reduce the stress in your life. Okay. So people look at their life and like, okay, I guess I just like move out of my house, don't live with my family. Like, do I like not work anymore? Like, what do I do? Right. What the actual data shows is that if you have purpose behind the stress, it's not stressful. So people who have this wonderful sense of purpose with their new child that they have, they're still tough. They're still getting poor sleep, whatever. They just don't suffer from the stress like somebody who's like, I don't want to deal with this right now. If you go to a job that you enjoy versus one that you hate, or one that feels purposeful, you can work more hours with the job that you feel good about, and it doesn't have the same effect. Exercise is a stress on the body because, and that's one of the reasons why your body adapts to and gets stronger, or why you build endurance. So it's far more complex than this cortisol thing. And cortisol is not the enemy. Too much cortisol at the wrong times is the problem, but we need cortisol.
It reminds me a bit too of like inflammation, how they vilify inflammation so much, and how we need to change and structure our diet completely to get rid of inflammation, when it's the signal for, real growth of muscle growth. And so it is a vital part to that, but obviously, need to time it and balance it. But it's the same thing. It's like the timing of, the cortisol, it's dependent on whether or not it's beneficial.
This is a really hard question to tackle virtually without knowing who we're talking to, because I think the way I would communicate this is dependent on who I'm talking to, right? Like, to your point, if I had a client who's like, I'm hearing all this stuff about cortisol, and should I be worried about that? And they've love their job, they eat well, they sleep well, they get good training. It's just like, we're not really ignore this. It's noise to you. But I also, you've probably maybe have heard us talk about what we call cortisol junkies, which were these clients that were very, very common with my female clients that love Group X classes. They would be type A personality, high stress, either jobs or just stress person, low calorie intake, love high intensity classes. And that gives them this cortisol dump and it makes them feel really good in the short term. And they would be addicted to that feeling, and that training is not, and then they couldn't lose weight, right? They couldn't get in shape and they couldn't figure it out. And they were taking this class 5 days a week and eating 1,500 calories and doing all the steps and doing all the things. And it's like, we called them cortisol junkies because they're constantly chasing that next dump of cortisol in their body to give them that short-term high. And so if I'm talking to that client, this is a conversation. Yeah. This is a conversation about how do we manage that through stress management to the point that you made?
Change the way you exercise, right. Eat more.
Right. Increase calories, reduce the intensity of their training, give them longer rest periods. And that so the cortisol conversation becomes a very important conversation to that person in particular. So it's tough for me to answer that without knowing who is asking that question. Are you that person? So if anything I just said about lower calories, having a hard time losing body fat, high stress, love circuit training type classes that you like to work out in, then maybe that conversation is for you. Mm-hmm. But if you identify more with Sal, what he said, which is, you have a lot of purpose behind your heart. You work hard, but you have a lot of purpose behind it. You love what you do. You're well fed. You're well rested. You have a nice balance to your strength training program. You have long rest periods. You follow a MAPS program. The conversation's probably not for you.
Next question is from Tanya Garcia. What's the best advice for an adult who just got diagnosed as pre-diabetic? Someone close to me just got this news. She's going into her late 50s and has arthritis.
So generally speaking, the advice looks like this. You're going to eat a high protein, lower carbohydrate diet with a decent amount of fiber in it. That's what the diet's going to look like. So for this person, I would have them eat their target body weight in grams of protein. That's the goal, okay? And you're going to eat it from whole natural foods. You're not going to eat a ton of carbohydrates. You can have carbohydrates, but you're not going to have a ton, okay? So your meal is going to look like protein, fats, a little bit of carbs, and some vegetables. And then you're going to strength train. Strength training is incredible for insulin sensitivity. Building muscle does miracles when it comes to working with people who are pre-diabetic. Like miracles. You build a little bit of muscle and you see dramatic improvement because muscle is one of the places you store sugar.
Big gas tank for you.
It's where you store glycogen. And muscle is very insulin sensitive.
By the way, too, this will also help support the arthritis, which is autoimmune.
That's right.
So somebody who gets like the flare-ups from autoimmune, who's also pre-diabetic, is probably a lot of times when they over-consume calories, i.e. sugar and stuff like that, they're going to have those flare-ups. Whereas if they have these bigger gas tanks, muscle, for their body to store that glycogen, they're less likely to overspill and have those. And
you don't even have to build
issues.
A ton of muscle. You could even the current muscle you have just becomes better at storing glycogen and becomes more insulin sensitive because you're stronger. So I would have her strength train 1 to 2 days a week, high protein diet.
High protein.
And then the last thing you would add would be to do 5 minutes of movement after she eats. That has a really good effect. And if you just did those things, generally speaking, I wouldn't be surprised if this person within 6 months saw a radical shift in their diagnosis just from doing those things. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat. For men, this is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
Now, there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.